This is an ordinary cell phone. This is Nextel, and it's going to change the way you do business thanks to Direct Connect, its digital two-way radio feature. Frank? Not yet. It ensures instant contact. Bridget? Got it. Cost a fraction of cellular. It just passed. And it makes other cell phones...
Ready now.
Obsolete.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is cold out here. The sun is no longer shining on the field. The wind chill factors dip below 10 degrees. We have winds gusting at about 18 miles per hour. We asked Warren Sapp about these chilly conditions, and here's what he said.
And nobody likes to walk out in 10-degree weather. I don't care who you are, if you were born in Siberia. You can't like that, because the tackle and the hit and to do the things that we do for 3.5 hours in that type of weather, just ain't conducive for a man to be feeling good about himself. You're just not. I don't care where you're born. You can be born in an igloo. You don't like that. It's not fun. So we're going to go out and we're going to deal with the elements, but even more than that, we're going to deal with the Philadelphia Eagles.
And Warren Sapp was not born in an igloo.
No, but as Tony Dungy says, you have to want to win the game more than you want to stay warm. And that's what the goals of the Buccaneers is today.
Carl Williams and Riddell Anthony back deep for the Buccaneers. They won the toss, and Akers will kick off for the Eagles. David Akers
kicking with the wind.
And forcing the Buccaneers, Carl Williams almost out of the end zone, and they'll take over at the 20. Let's look at their offense. The offensive line completely revamped from a year ago. Hageman, McDaniel, Christie, Frank Middleton, and Jerry Wunsch. And those who handle the ball, Jacquez Green, Warwick Dunn, Allstott headed for the Pro Bowl, Dave Moore, the tight end, and the acquired Keyshawn Johnson. Sean King is the quarterback. His record is 14-7 as a starter. First and 10 at their own 20 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Johnson goes in motion. Warwick Dunn gets the carry and nudges for a yard. Stopped by Hugh Douglas. Let's look at the Eagle defense. Douglas, Hollis Thomas, the outstanding rookie Corey Simon, and Brandon Whiting in the front four. Gardner, Trotter, and Emmons, the linebackers, and a good secondary. Taylor and Benson, the corners, Dawkins and Moore, the safeties.
Yeah, Mike Allstott out here in the slot.
2nd and 9. Dunn is deep. King. Keyshawn Johnson.
Yeah, that's going to be a heck of a matchup today, whomever the corner is, because Keyshawn Johnson is a big wide receiver. Bobby Taylor is a big corner. So you have a big wide receiver going against a big corner. Bobby Taylor got caught in no man's land. I mean, he was up in a position where he couldn't bump him, and he was too far off to jump that pass.
They're both about 6'3". First down, Buccaneers outside. A little quickly for Patrick Hape. He couldn't get turned around.
You know, and that's the matchup that the Eagles like. As you say, both Bobby Taylor and Troy Vincent are big corners, so therefore they figure that either one of them will match up well against Keyshawn Johnson. And with that, that allows them to blitz more than you would normally be able to blitz if you had to protect a weaker or maybe even a smaller corner.
2nd and 10. Opening drive of this match between the Eagles and the Buccaneers. Dunn comes out in motion. This is Allstott, who ducks under one tackler and lunges forward for about 3 yards.
Yeah, they have that word for defensive tackles now where they call them stout. Well, Hollis Thomas and Corey Simon are two stout inside tackles.
Yes,
I'll tell you, it's tough to run in there, but they don't give you much. Simon is going to be something special. I mean, he's not just going to be a stout defensive tackle. Someday he's going to be a great one and a great pass rusher. The Eagles have their nickel defense, 5 defensive backs in now.
3rd and 8. Moore on the move. He stays in to try to block. Here comes the blitz. And Sean King just threw it away. There was nothing there.
And that's exactly what Jim Johnson, the defensive coordinator of the Eagles, told us yesterday that he wanted to do on passing down. You know, stop the run, get him in shotgun, get him in third down, and then come after him. And then make him throw the ball before he's ready. You see that? He wasn't ready to throw the ball. There was no one open. He tried to dump it out there to Warrick Dunn, and I think he just threw it away.
And that was Simon right in his face. Ryan Mitchell to punt against the wind, and this is a good kick. Mitchell around the corner is nudged out of bounds. Flag on the play. They picked up the flags.
Look at Corey Simon. He's telling Sean King, you're going to see a lot of me today.
Good punt by Royal. Cold and blustery in Philadelphia. 0-0. We're in the first quarter at Veterans Stadium. Pat Summerall with John Madden. Donovan McNabb breaks the Eagle huddle.
This kind of reminds you of the old days, doesn't it? When we used to do so many championship playoff games here in Philadelphia and the cold weather.
McNabb back to throw on first down. Completes it to Cecil Martin. Very little gain. Here's the Eagle offense. The offensive line is a good one, and they've been together this entire season, which is remarkable these days. Torrance Small, Chris Warren, Cecil Martin, Chad Lewis, and Charles Johnson, those who'll handle the ball. Chad Lewis headed for the Pro Bowl. And Donovan McNabb, the quarterback. You can see him mature as the days pass. Stanley Pritchett, the deep back. McNabb back to throw again. Fires complete. Torrance Small. First down, Philadelphia. Let's look at the Buccaneer defense. The front four is Steve White, Warren Sapp, McFarland, and Chidi Ahanatu. The linebackers, Brooks headed for the Pro Bowl. He's got a bad shoulder. Duncan in the middle, and Sheldon Quarles. Barber and Abraham, the corner. New tight end setup. Flea flicker coming. McNabb. They only had one man deep.
Yeah, and that was Charles Johnson, and he was double covered, so the Buccaneers didn't go at all for that flea flicker. But here's Johnson. He's number 81. He has him fooled there, and then John Lynch makes a recovery.
Yep.
Donnie Abraham stayed outside the whole time. If you're only going to run one guy deep, you better fool someone. There's John Lynch, number 47. Last time he came up, walked up as the 8th man there. In fact, he did it just then again.
McNabb to throw. And the pass is caught by Lewis. The tight end gets near a first down. Not quite.
You know, that's one of the things. Usually the Buccaneers will play that 2 deep, and they're playing more 3 deep because they worry about Donovan McNabb running the ball. And that opens some other things up, like his tight end, Chad Lewis, who, as the season has gone on, Donovan McNabb has become more and more comfortable with Chad Lewis.
And Lewis is able to find the open spots.
Right, and he's caught over 60 passes this year. He's going to the Pro Bowl.
3rd and 3. McNabb back to throw it again. Throws it outside. That should be enough for a first to Stanley Pritchett. Depends on where they mark it. Maybe not.
It's going to be very close. It's interesting when they play cover 3, when they bring John Lynch up, then McNabb is going to his outside receivers. When they stay in cover 2, then he's going to his checkdowns as he did then and didn't get the first down.
And the Eagles will have to punt. And Sean Landeta has punted many times in weather conditions like this.
We saw him miss one in weather conditions like this in Chicago.
At Soldier Field. That's a good punt. An outstanding effort by Landeta. The Buccaneers take over at about their own 6. Buccaneers have 2 tight ends in their lineup, so Tim Houck, number 45, has replaced Bobby Taylor.
And Tim Houck is a safety, so in essence they're playing with 1 corner and 3 safeties against the Bucs' 2 tight ends.
That's Alstott. He ran from the tailback spot and got out to about the 15.
He
Picked
can
up
move,
maybe 9.
He can move the pile, though, can't he?
Yes, he can.
I mean, you watch Alstott get in there. He's not only big and strong and powerful, but he runs low. Now watch him get in there, and everything starts to go backwards.
He got 8 yards, 2nd and 2.
You know, you're talking about a running back running downhill. That was a definition of running downhill.
Patrick Hape led him through the hole. That's the same offensive setup. And they'll go at it again with Alstott. And Alstott hammers outside the 20, a Buck first down.
And you see who made the tackle is number 45, Tim Houck. Tim Houck, there's not much to him. He only weighs about 185 pounds. And you know, if you're going to tackle Alstott, you have to get below his knees. You see him coming there?
Yes.
Houck came in, and this is running downhill, and it's coming right at you. Now watch 45. He goes for the ankles. That's the only place Tim Houck is going to tackle Mike Alstott.
That's a load coming at you.
That's why you go to his ankles. He doesn't have any power in his ankles.
Here he goes again. This time they got him around the ankles and high.
Yeah, they didn't let him run downhill. That's a big thing. Those first 2, he ran downhill. That time, the way to stop a runner like Alstott or any runner is get penetration.
It was Houck again around his ankles.
Well, Houck will spend a lot of time around the ankles. That guy is one of the most amazing players I've ever seen.
He really is.
He's an 11-year veteran. You look at him in practice, and there's nothing to him. You wonder, how can he play?
2nd and 12. Alstott again. And he rambles across the 25. It'll bring up a 3rd and about 6.
Now, this is the Bucs sledgehammer offense. They had poor field position. Now you can see how coming off because the Buccaneers are changing their personnel. But the Buccaneers got out of that what they wanted. They had bad field position. They were backed up. So they put 3 tight ends in there, put Mike Alstott in there, and just rammed that ball in there and got relatively good field position out of it.
Now they have their throwing group in there. Kings in the shotgun and Warwick Dunn's back there next to him. Here comes the Eagle blitz. Incomplete. It was intended for Dunn, who couldn't bring it down.
And that was the side he was trying to throw to, and that's the side he got the blitz from. He got not only the linebacker coming on a blitz, but also a safety right in the area, the side that he was throwing to. And that's what Jim Johnson said he was going to do. He said, when Sean King has to throw, we're going to blitz him and make him throw the ball when he's not ready to.
Royals to punt number 3 to Mitchell. The dangerous ex-Redskin Happy Eagle. Fair catch signal goes over his head. Takes a Buccaneer hop. And they down it at about the Eagle 35. 6:38 left to play in the first quarter. No score yet. Back at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. Getting colder, but it seems to be that the wind has died down just a bit.
You know, looking up there at the flags on top of the stadium, you're right, the wind has died down. In the pregame warm-up, it was really tough.
1st and 10 at their own 36.
Toledo.
That's Chris Warren, who's just been here 3 weeks.
You know that you see Deuce Staley there, and look at what they've done to take the place of Deuce Staley. They have running back packages. Their base is Chris Warren, who we just saw run the ball, and Cecil Martin. If they go 1 back, it's going to be Stanley Pritchett.
Who's in now?
If they go 2 backs with 3 wide receivers, it's Stanley Pritchett and Brian Mitchell.
2nd and 6. Quick pass complete to Chad Lewis, who's hit immediately.
There by Shelton Quarles.
Yep.
I'll tell you, this Tampa Bay Bucs defense, they do tackle. Here's a key inactives today. They really miss Marcus Jones. I mean, Steve White is starting for him, but Marcus Jones had 13 sacks this year. And then Jeff Gooch is a backup linebacker, special teams guy, and Darnell Autry, the running back for the Eagles.
Remember, Marcus Jones got off to a tremendous start this year.
Yeah, but, you know, Steve White playing today. Steve White started last year.
Yeah. Here comes a Buccaneer blitz. And the pass was closer to Brian Kelly than anyone else.
I think they're giving him that same dose, you know, get him in third down and then put the pressure on Donovan McNabb in passing situations, bring the blitz, make him throw the ball when he's not ready. And you see what happens when the quarterback throws the ball when he's not ready.
Yep.
The receivers are also not ready.
Landeta back again. Carl Williams deep for Tampa Bay. Fields it at the 12, slips momentarily. Williams gets up to about the 24, where the Buccaneers will begin an offensive effort again. Caldwell down on the coverage.
I thought the birds went south when the weather got this cold.
The smart ones do.
What the heck they doing hanging around here?
On first down, it's Warrick Dunn. And Dunn gets about 3.
You know, sometimes, you know, we talk about the blitz and we can see Herman Edwards there talking to his secondary and what they're going to Donovan McNabb. And sometimes it's real or sometimes it's imagined. Now here the blitz is real, but the blitz is picked up. And Donovan McNabb feels that he has to get rid of the ball quicker than he has to. He really didn't have to because they had protection. They had everything picked up.
2nd and 6 for Tampa Bay. Dunn swings out in motion. Allstott's the dig back. And Allstott gets the carry. Hit by one of the safety men after he picked up a couple of yards. Hollis Thomas made the initial contact.
That's what they want to do. As long as they, you know, it's not only the poor field position that the Bucs have here, you know, being on their end of the field, but they're also going into the wind. So I think that kind of, you know, poor field position going into the wind kind of brings a heavier dose of Mike Allstott. I think if they got out to midfield or when they get the wind with them, I think we're going to see more Warrick Dunn.
3rd down. Hugh Douglas jumped. He might have been pulled.
Yep, George Hageman is pointing to Douglas. Douglas is pointing to Hageman. They played together. You know, George Hageman was here with the Eagles. Like he was cut by Andy Reid.
Embarrassed, some say.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 53. Jumped into
Mike
the neutral
Carey
zone, causing an immediate reaction by number
all-star
78.
crew.
5-yard penalty. The enforcement results in a first down.
And it's right there. Yeah, it was Hugh Douglas. Hugh Douglas is a speed guy and a speed rusher, and he's trying to get wide there on George Hageman. And then you want to get off on the ball before he does. And in doing so, instead of getting a pass rush on Sean King, you give him a free first down.
They fake to Dunn. King rolls out. He's been bothered by a pulled groin. And then where they're like this, it's going to be hard to get loose. But Barry Gardner pushed him out of bounds.
You see, he's going to run a bootleg. He's coming out to this side anyway. This was a planned run, but he looked and he didn't have the crossing guy open. So then he had to put the ball down. Here's the crossing guy. This is what he's looking for. And you see that, I don't know, he doesn't look like he's open, nor does he looks like he's working very hard. That was Jaquez Green.
That both true.
And it looked like he was taking a walk in the park.
King steps up into the pocket, slides at about the 39, short of a first down. It's been a game dominated by the two defenses so far.
Well, you know, you kind of expected that coming in here.
Yep.
When you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Philadelphia Eagles, it is going to be defense. 4 first downs, 0 for 4 on 3rd down. And you know, part of that is we're not seeing two great offenses here. but we are seeing two pretty good defenses.
Well, when you got one guy on one team that's responsible for 85% of the yardage, that's not a great offense.
And how about these two defensive coordinators?
Yeah.
Two old crusty guys.
Yeah.
We saw Jim Johnson, and on the other side, it's Monty Gibson. That's crust.
0-0. This weekend, the NFL playoffs on Fox continue with the NFC divisional playoffs beginning at 11:30 Eastern, 8:30 Pacific on Saturday when the Vikings host the Saints. Then at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific on Sunday, the Giants welcome the winner of this game to the Meadowlands in a battle for the right to play in the NFC Championship game next week on Fox. Here's King, incomplete. Dunn again, couldn't hang on.
It looked like he was trying to get the ball on a cross to Keyshawn Johnson.
The wild card games. Miami 23-17 over Indianapolis in overtime. The Saints beat the Rams. Baltimore earlier today beat Denver.
All the home teams won.
Home teams.
You know, and that's the way I guess it should be, because they earned the right to be home teams by having a better record.
Royals lines a punt to Mitchell. And he is taken down at about the 28. Al Singleton made the stop along with Don Davis. The stars in those three games, those home victories, as John Madden said a moment ago, Lamar Smith, what a day he had. 209 yards, 40 rushes. Aaron Brooks of New Orleans, Willie Jackson, 3 touchdown catches. Brooks, 4 touchdown passes, and Jamal Lewis of Baltimore, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns.
They're kind of winning in the playoffs thus far has been about a good running game and good defense.
Don't you think it usually is?
And then home field.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the thing. You forget about defense sometimes all year, and all these glory guys and all that stuff. Then you get to the playoffs. Well, our defense better play well.
Small takes the pass from McNabb, stopped by Rondé Barber.
If the winner of this game is going to play the Giants next week, if the Bucs were to win, Rondé Barber here, number 20, would be playing against his twin brother, Tiki Barber, next week in the Meadowlands. Because if the Eagles win, Rondé Barber will be watching his brother Tiki play against the Eagles in the Meadowlands.
And probably rooting for his brother.
His brother Tiki is watching him play today from the Meadowlands.
That's Brian Mitchell, the running back, who doesn't get the first.
Look at this, the Eagles, their play selection so far is they've ran the ball 2 times and passed it 8 times. And again, I think a little of that is the field position and the wind direction. The Eagles in the first quarter have the wind.
3rd and 2. McNabb back to throw it. Now he's going to take off with it. And McNabb dives. Very nearly got the first down if he didn't. McFarland made the stop.
That's the
First
thing.
down.
Yeah, that's the thing about this Buck defense is these tackles, once they see something, they are going to turn, and they run fast enough. You see McFarland there. You can catch. Of course, there was someone in front of McNabb, I'll say that. But these 2 tackles do catch a lot of stuff from behind.
1st and 10, Philadelphia. Warren. And Chris Warren, with his strongest effort so far, stopped by Damian Robinson.
Warren Sapp kind of running himself out of there. Sapp hasn't made a lot of plays thus far. We know that some plays in this game he is going to show some dominance. He hasn't yet.
That's the end of the first quarter with the score: Tampa Bay 0, Philadelphia 0. As we start the second quarter at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. That's the NFC playoff picture. New Orleans against Minnesota next week, next Saturday at 11:30 here on Fox. And then on Sunday at 3:30 here on Fox, The winner of this game against the Giants in the Meadowlands.
Think about how this whole thing is kind of the way it used to be. We've been together for 20 years and so many of these playoffs and championship games, and it seems like here in Philadelphia, in Washington, in New York. Here we are back to back in Philadelphia today, and next week we'll be in the Meadowlands, and you know, and kind of the swirling wind. Remember that?
Kind of seems right.
Yeah. There's Monty Kiffin.
McNabb, we think, had the wind in the first quarter. It's hard to tell which direction the wind's going here. It sort of swirls around.
Yeah, in the pregame was definitely the way McNabb was going. He was 6 for 7. Sean King was only 1 out of 5.
Second down. The swarm is around McNabb.
Yeah, because he fumbled the ball, and that'll usually cause a swarm. I don't know if Bubba Miller, his center, ever got it up to him. But watch this. He looked like he started to pull his hands out of there. Looked like he pulled his left hand out when he did a snap count. It bounced right in front of him. Just went right through his hand.
So it's 3rd and about 5.
Sometimes you just go tackle ahead.
Make sure that head's got a ball somewhere.
And you hope it has a helmet over it.
Drops it outside. There's nothing doing there. Stanley Pritchett didn't get back to the line of scrimmage, and he's still down.
Stanley Pritchett, remember earlier, he was going to be the fullback for Deuce Staley. Stanley Pritchett from South Carolina. He played in college with Deuce Staley. See him here. They dump him the ball, and that's a tough thing to do with the Buccaneers, is to stand around, is to not go forward, because they do gang tackle and they do swarm. And the more time you spend, trying to decide what you're going to do with it, the more of them that are going to be on you.
Stanley Pritchett is still down. And there's Deuce Staley, his former teammate and present teammate.
And we talked about the packages that they do is in their packages today. Stanley Pritchett was going to take all the single back stuff, plus he was taking the base stuff. You see when he stands right here, now watch, he's going to come in right there in his left knee. You see it right there.
Not supposed to bend that way, is it? Steve White.
And that's the thing again. I mean, it's easy to say when someone's hurt that you got to, on this field, you got to get that ball and move it upfield. And it's hard to be waiting to make moves there, because you are going to get a lot of white jerseys on you.
Hunting situation coming up for the Eagles. Carl Williams is already deep for Tampa Bay, and Sean Landeta will go to work again.
Sean Landeta's had a couple of real good punts with the wind. Now he'll be punting into the wind, but as we said earlier, it doesn't look like the wind is as fierce as it was about an hour ago.
It doesn't. Landeta, will you ever forget that? You mentioned it a minute ago. We saw him miss a ball
in Chicago.
Yeah. The wind was fierce that day.
Yeah, this is what he's kicking into. You can see there is a little wind against him. Yeah, that wind was right down on the ground, and he went to drop the ball and went whiff.
He doesn't miss this one. It is, however, a very short kick, and Williams signals fair catch. The Bucs take over at their own 31. 0-0 score. Philadelphia, the city, takes a lot of bad raps about the behavior of the fans, but this really is quite a city.
I think a lot of tradition here, and the fans are always there. I think they have great fans here.
That's Warrick Dunn. As Stanley Pritchett headed for the Eagle locker room. Warrick Dunn took the desperation pass from Sean King and picked up a Buccaneer first down.
Yesterday we were talking to Sean King about throwing into the wind or with the wind. He's not a strong arm guy, and he said that if it's windy, he'll probably throw more checkdowns than he normally does. And course, when he throws to Warrick Dunn, those are mostly checkdowns.
With a lot of potential usually, too.
He's only thrown one to Keyshawn Johnson so far.
Here's King. Another to Johnson. And another Buck first down as they move into Eagle territory.
He's thrown two to Keyshawn Johnson. And that's the thing. I think when you have to take advantage of that. When you see like Troy Vincent playing off that far, and Keyshawn Johnson can drive him deep and get open by 5 or 6 yards, you have to take that.
Why not?
And then I think maybe that and going with the wind probably gives Sean King a little more confidence.
Keyshawn split wide right again, signaling to his quarterback. Here's King back to throw it. Drops it out to Alstott. And Alstott just lowers his shoulders and his head. Stopped finally by Trotter, but he got another Buck first down.
You know, one of the things that Jim Johnson always talks about is pad level and using the right pad. When you get Mike Alstott in the open field, you better use your inside shoulder and force him back inside, because you know he's not going to run out of bounds.
That's right.
You know, so you're either going to take him on or force him back where your help is coming from. Don't try and force him out of bounds. He's not going there.
9-yard pickup. They need a yard, and this is Alstott. And he'll have it and more. And Alstott thunders down inside the 20 to about the 17. Emmons finally made the stop.
I'll tell you,
Dawkins.
he's finding something in there. Look at this. They get a little motion here, so they got the tight end on this side. Get a good double team, and Alstott just runs right off that double team.
Patrick Hape in the game, and he'll be the fullback in front of Alstott.
Sometimes you need a little hole to get that hole open. They were holding Brandon Whiting on that one, but
they fake to Alstott. King fires it out of bounds. Intended for David Moore.
You know, what they did on that All-Star run, that one before where they did have the holding on Whiting, but it was a run blitz. And you know, sometimes when you run blitz, you will blitz into the hole and you'll get the guy before he gets started. But if it's picked up, you really lose a layer, because you lose a layer of linebackers. So when you get through that, you go right to the secondary. So Alstott has caught him so far in a couple of run blitzes.
2nd and 10. Alstott's out. Dunn is in. King goes back. They're in Grammatica range, certainly. Here's King. Whips it outside. That's Patrick Hape by Dave Moore, the tight end. I thought it was Hape coming out of the backfield, but it's Moore.
The thing about Sean King, I think maybe, as we said earlier, maybe going with the win has given him something. But I think when he got the ball to Keyshawn Johnson, I think that helped a little, because it got him a little deeper. You know, backed everything off a little, softened the defense up a little. Then you can go back to your running game again and your shorter passing. But I think if they're going to have offense today, and if they're going to win, Keyshawn Johnson has to be a part of it.
Alstott is in the slot. Now he moves back in. And King gives to Warrick Dunn. Dunn gets down to about the 11. Stopped by Trotter. And here comes the field goal unit for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, but this is one that I think they were playing this conservatively. You know, where you figure we have 3rd down, instead of throwing the ball, let's just go a draw, get as far as we can, and then just kick a field goal, because that was too much territory to have to pick up a 1st down on a draw play.
Grammatica missed against Green Bay last week, but he doesn't miss this one. And the Buccaneers go ahead 3-0 with 10:16 left to play in the first half. Because fastest sport is now coming to Fox like you've never seen it before. Fox Sports is the place to turn for every pit stop, lap, and checkered flag. It all begins with the 43rd running of the Great American Race, the Daytona 500, on February the 18th. Fox Sports, the new home of NASCAR. Damian Douglas and Brian Mitchell back deep for Grammaticus kickoff. This one with the wind, but Douglas will have a chance. Douglas hit at the 25 by Todd Yoder. Current weather here at Veterans Stadium. Temperature is 34 degrees, but with the wind chill, 9 degrees. At Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, Pat Summerall with John Madden. 3-0 Tampa Bay. The Eagles have the ball at their own 26. McNabb outside to Charlie Johnson, who's still fighting for yardage, and there's a flag on the play. Johnson wouldn't go down. In the process, the flag came flying in.
Warren Sapp really took off on that one to get penetration on Donovan McNabb. Mike Carey, our referee. This is an all-star crew where you know they're graded and
Face mask, incidental, by the defense, number 21. 5 yards. The enforcement results in a first down.
Donnie Abraham accidentally grabbed.
Well, he hasn't yet. You know, I don't know that he did. You know, sometimes they call that face mask, and it's not a face mask. It's a phantom face mask. Donnie Abraham just missed the tackle.
Yep.
His hand wiped across the face mask, but he didn't grab it.
Enough for an Eagle first down.
When a receiver moves his head like that, it looks like one, but that was just a missed tackle by Donnie Abraham.
Mitchell is the one back as McNabb goes to throw. And that's Mitchell, and let's go down to DJ Johnson.
Hey, John, you said that Donovan McNabb was about 70% of the Eagles offense. He may have to become more now. Stanley Pritchard, as you saw, limped off the field. He has a left knee sprain, and he's questionable upon his return. Back to you, Pat.
All right, DJ, thank you. 2nd and 8 coming up. So it looks like Mitchell is going to take Pritchard's place as the lone back.
As the one back, yeah, because Stanley Pritchard was going to do all the single back. And saw that play again where it was Derek Brooks. It just hit him right on the knee as he was standing there to make a move.
2nd and 8, and here comes the blitz on McNabb, and he's going to get away from it. But one of the things the Buccaneers said they had to do when McNabb started to step up and run was to rush smart.
Yeah, and that means don't get beyond him. If we could just stop it right now, we don't want these guys to get behind where McNabb is. That time they had 3 guys behind him, so he was able to do it. You see, what they want to do is if you ever get behind him, just stop. Of course, he steps up right now, and he makes 3 guys get behind him. But the Buccaneers run so well, rally so well, and tackle so well, they can still make a play.
3rd and 8. To Mitchell, but they're right there at the line of scrimmage. Again, they do react to the ball, don't they?
That's the thing they do, and then they also tackle well. And we're going to see Warren Sapp here, and you'll get in the pass rush. He's there on Wellborn, and he just gets the push, he gets a double team. Now he has to stop. And of course, by that time, the ball was already out of there.
Carl Williams back deep for Landetta's punt.
But this Eagle line has kind of kept Warren Sapp quiet this first part of the game.
Buccaneers look like they're going to put the rush on Landetta, and they do. But he gets off a good kick. Fair catch, signal drop. And Williams drops on him. He makes his own recovery. Madden team returns, and the biggest question of the new year will be answered with the unveiling of the newest All Madden team. January 21st, right here on Fox. It's the blockbuster 18th annual All Madden team. 18th?
Right, 18th.
That doesn't seem possible.
No, they don't know it yet, but we're going to take them to those mills and dip them.
Good.
We're still looking, I mean, it's not over yet. There could still be guys make it from these playoffs.
That's Warwick Dunn with the ball.
Warrick Dunn is so little. Yesterday when we were talking to him, we asked him, how do you not get hurt? I mean, it's a stupid question because he's been playing so long little. I mean, he was little in high school, little in college, little in the pros, #1 draft choice. But he says when he goes down, he said he just gets in a fetal position. And you see him that day. He went down and he was in a fetal position. After the play's over, you're not going to get any more of him than that.
He got 4 yards.
And he never gets hit squarely.
Keyshawn Johnson on the move. Intended for Jacquez Green. Thrown too hard. Never had a chance, did he?
No, that one didn't. I think again, you hate to keep saying Keyshawn Johnson, but that's what they got him for. They got him for these games to make plays in these games, and I think that on a slant, if I were going to throw a slant, I'd rather throw it to Keyshawn Johnson than I would to Jacquez Green. Now, if I'm going to throw something deep and I need speed, then that's when I'd use Jacquez Green.
Here comes Keyshawn on the move. The Eagles showed blitz and backed up a minute, and here's the screen pass to Dunn. And Warrick Dunn picks up what appears to be a Tampa Bay first down, stopped by Caldwell.
He's a little scooter, isn't he? I mean, he gets down. He said he never wears sleeves because he doesn't want to fumble. Some guys wear those long sleeves underneath. He said he won't do it because he wants to let his arms feel the ball. So from his elbows on down, you see, he always has a part of the skin that he can put the football against.
I love when you asked him yesterday, how do you get used to being little? And he said, well, I can fight. Don't forget I can fight.
That was stupid what I said, and I didn't mean that at all.
Well, he's rolled up this time. Just barely got the ball from Sean King.
And they're having a discussion about it here. Now, we talked about how much the Eagles were going to blitz, and they blitzed an awful lot today on both run and pass. You can see it now. I mean, they hit that thing before he even gets a chance.
Damon Moore.
And Damon Moore was up in that hole, and he blitzed and was unblocked, and kind of Sean King and Warrick Dunn and Moore all got there at the same time.
2nd and 15, and here's another blitz, and Dunn with no place to go again.
That time it was Carlos Emmons, the linebacker, and they're blitzing him more. It seems like as the season goes on, Carlos Emmons is becoming a bigger part of this defense and a bigger part of this blitzing.
Big, tall guy, too.
Early in the game, he was the first guy that got penetration against their offense, and he did again there. And the Bucs are having trouble running draw plays because it's tough to run a draw play into a blitz, whether that blitz be a run blitz or a passing blitz.
3rd and 19. King drops to throw. And is hit just as he let the ball go, or did he let it go? This might be the Eagles' ball. I think it is.
I'll tell you, Hugh Douglas came from that backside and really unloaded on Sean King. George Heckman is number 78. He's pointing the other way, hoping it is that ball.
It's the Philadelphia Eagles' ball.
Because that was his man. Hugh Douglas made that play. Watch him. He's going to come from Sean King's backside. He starts to throw, and watch. Here comes Hugh Douglas right there. And he just unloaded right up between his shoulder pads, and the ball just pops right up. Point.
Recovered by Mike Mamula. This one might be reviewed.
I don't know if there's any review there or not, but again, it's the arm going forward, was a ball in his hand and all that stuff. But watch Hugh Douglas. He uses that speed rush from that backside.
And the Buccaneers have not asked for this to be reviewed.
Well, they have all the way up until the ball is snapped.
Is his arm coming forward?
Hugh Douglas all the way. You can see Warrick Dunn tried to get him. I don't know. I think his arm came forward, but I think it came forward after the ball went out. And once this ball is snapped right now, it's all academic anyway.
That's right.
Can be reviewed, but not now.
McNabb back to throw, and he's going to take off. And McNabb is inside the 10 to the 5.
Now this crowd's into it. This is a Philadelphia crowd. There's Hugh Douglas getting excited. He's the guy that made it all possible with a great pass rush. And then Donovan McNabb, we talked about being 85% in December. You can see why, because he can do it with his arms, his legs. He can start to run and throw. That field is a little more slippery than it looks, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
One thing that the Buccaneers knew that they had to do was keep containment on Donovan McNabb, and they didn't on that last play.
Blocked by Cecil Martin, got him around the corner.
Cecil Martin's a good guy. I talked to him yesterday. He went to the University of Wisconsin, grew up in Chicago in a homeless shelter. He was recruited from a homeless shelter to go to Wisconsin, and now, he's such a giving guy. This is. Got to talk more about the Cecil Martins of the NFL, because this is a guy that, believe me, is a special guy.
He is number 38. Here's McNabb rolling right. Chase and throws it away.
He just had to. He had no one on him, and it was either run out of bounds, take a sack, or throw it away. And when you get a situation where it's first down, that's the best decision right there, is just throw it away.
Nay Brown takes Cecil Martin's place in the Eagle offense, a third receiver.
That means that they're going to have a 4-wide receiver look, 2 wide receivers on either side. Now with motion, there'll be 3 wide receivers on this side.
McNabb, and from behind is McNabb. He just got rid of it. Rondé Barber chasing him from behind.
Rondé Barber is a corner, but he probably blitzes more than anyone, and you're going to see him come from this backside. He lines up here, and you can just see the speed with which he comes. If you're going to blitz McNabb and he's rolling out, you better be blitzing with speed, because he can run away from you.
I think McNabb heard him coming.
And with the speed, McNabb runs like a 4.5 40. So with that speed, he was able to get away from Rondé Barber to get the ball off.
3rd and goal at the 5. McNabb on the quarterback draw. There's the inside for a touchdown. The Eagles take the lead.
It all started with Hugh Douglas's pass rush, and it ended up with Donovan McNabb running it in. You look at the leader of their defense, it's Hugh Douglas. The leader of their offense is McNabb. They made the plays on this drive.
Akers for the extra point. Detmer's holding. Akers' extra point puts the Eagles up by 4.
Look at this. It's an old jump shot. Usually Donovan McNabb does that. That time was his left tackle. That was Trey Thomas who made the shot. These are usually the things that Donovan McNabb does after a touchdown. See, he has jump shots, and he has dunks, and he has dribbles, and
that football's hard to dribble.
Right, but he was a basketball player at Syracuse.
And a good one.
That time he just gave it, that last one, he just gave it to Trey Thomas. Here it is right here, and he lets Trey Thomas take that jumper. Trey Thomas looked like Shaquille O'Neal shooting a free throw.
Foul shot.
Yeah. I saw him the other night shoot one, and it was just like a line drive right to the basket. That was the way Trey Thomas did it. He went to that Shaq school. I'll tell you, but that was a good drive by the Eagles, but again, it was made possible by Hugh Douglas making that big play on defense and getting that ball out of Sean King.
time against the wind. Carl Williams and Abdullah are back deep for the Buccaneers. That's Carl Williams. Up to about the 37. Tomorrow, one of college football's most storied bowl games continues its tradition on Fox. It's the 65th Southwestern Bell Cotton Bowl Classic, when the number 21 Tennessee meets number 11 Kansas State for the first time in the history of those two legendary programs. The 65th Southwestern Bell Cotton Bowl Classic tomorrow at 11 Eastern, 8 Pacific, only on Fox. Keyshawn Johnson comes wide left.
Better get Jude Douglas blocked if they're going to pass.
Yep. Here's King across the 40. Stopped by Barry Gardner.
You know, Sean King and Donovan McNabb are good buddies. In fact, Sean King was going to go over to McNabb's house last night for dinner, but you know, because of that snowstorm, he decided there was no way he was going to leave the hotel. And I guess the coaches told him, let's just stay around here anyway. But when we talked to McNabb earlier, he had shorts on.
He had shorts on.
When we talked to McNabb earlier, he had the whole night planned. Yeah, we're gonna bring in takeout food, and we're gonna watch a movie and not talk about football.
Johnson goes in motion. King gives straight ahead to Warwick Dunn. Not much.
Yeah, one of the things we watch that touchdown again. Watch McNabb here. He's going to tap his helmet. You see it right there. Then he goes to the other side to do it like it's going to be. He has the four wide receivers out there, making them think it's a pass, making everyone selling pass all the way. And then that was a run all the way. That was a draw.
2 minutes to go in the first half with the Philadelphia Eagles leading Tampa Bay 7-3. At Veterans Stadium. Philadelphia leading Tampa Bay 7-3. 3rd and 5 for the Bucks. 2 minutes to go in the first half. King back in the shotgun. No blitz this time. Down the sideline. Aquez Green, the intended target. Nothing there. Al Harris right with him.
Al Harris is a good corner. He's the 3rd corner, and he's in there now because they have 3 wide receivers. Bobby Taylor takes a slot, he takes a corner, and he's a good player. I mean, you know, and in fact, Jim Johnson doesn't call him his 3rd corner or backup. He calls him a starting corner. He said he's as good as most starting corners in football.
Royals to punt. Mitchell will return it from his own 15 with some room. Out to the 31. Singleton made the stop. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris will have highlights and analysis of today's wild card games, and our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second stats. That's all coming up on the Visa halftime report. Buccaneers have 2 timeouts left. The Eagles have all 3 of theirs.
This is pretty good, playing a late game on a Sunday in Philadelphia that's also New Year's Eve, and people can come out and
nice and cold.
Nice and cold, a little fresh.
Yep. McNabb across the middle to Mitchell, who gets out of bounds, but not enough. They keep the clock running. Brian Kelly made the stop, but they have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. Now they don't.
Yeah, and they should have taken one about 10 seconds ago. He can't get it. He can't get the referee to call the timeout. McNabb here, you know, he's a good guy. Brian Mitchell has been making big plays for a lot of years in this league as a pass receiver, as a kick returner, as a draw runner, as a 3rd down back, and you know, he does give McNabb another weapon out there. But you know the other thing about Brian Mitchell, remember, he just has big hands.
Yeah.
And he's able to catch anything one hand. I mean, that was a heck of a catch when he was coming one way and then turning back and then grabbing it with one hand.
Now let's go down to DJ Johnson.
Hey, Pat and John, I talked to Donovan McNabb yesterday about his rookie year last year where he sat and watched from the sideline. He said that was good for him. He said that was good for him instead of getting thrown into the fire, because he got to see what happens as an NFL defense attacks a quarterback. He said sometimes when you're in a game, you get sacked, you don't know why. He said you miss a read, you don't know why. He said standing on the sideline, he got to see all that. You learn the patience, you learn where to go with the ball, and that benefited him. Back up to you, Pat.
McNabb to Mitchell. Another timeout called by McNabb.
Yeah, it was interesting. The first game that McNabb played a year ago
was against Tampa Bay.
In the second half, and Doug Peterson was the starting quarterback at that time, and Trent Dilfer was the starting quarterback from the Bucs. And Donovan McNabb said he was sitting in there at halftime, and he said he was just kind of sitting there watching what was going on, and Andy Reid walked up to him and said, "Okay, second half's all yours."
Yours.
That's all he said.
What does that mean?
Yeah, here it was.
Means you got it.
I think he got sacked 5 times in that game, and that was his initiation to the National Football League. But from that period where he played and then later in the season became a starter until now, he's come a long way.
In confidence and his performance on the field, but particularly in the way he conducts himself, he's become a real leader.
But look at this red line here. We talked to the kickers and watched them in the pregame warm-up and decided where the ball had to be, where their range was, and that's where the Eagles' range is, where that red line is.
Here comes the blitz after McNabb, and they don't get there, and he throws incomplete.
Those are some great moves that he made. It was going to go down as an incomplete pass, but those were great moves. I mean, it's something when you can make moves and then make moves when you have a ball, and I think this has to come from basketball, where you can make moves with a ball in your hand. I mean, he has the ball there, but watch how he just has a ball, and the ball's flipping around there, and he's making those moves, and then has to end up throwing the ball.
To handle a cold ball like that, it's harder and slicker. You got to have pretty good hands. And this is Mitchell. Gets down across the Buccaneer 40 to about the 38.
Buccaneers have one more timeout. I think this wouldn't be a bad time to take your timeout in order to get your first down. He's going to spend so much time here calling this play. If he gets a first down, it's going to be okay.
McNabb is back. Heads for the sideline. He's going to be hemmed up there, but he gets rid of the ball to Mitchell. Lynch is saying he was out of bounds. I don't know if he won his argument or not. I don't think so. That should be just enough to get into field goal range.
And it's enough for a first down. It's enough for a first down. He caught that ball. He has both feet inbounds. That's a catch.
He's in.
Now I think they have 31 seconds. Now they still have their timeout. He could get a couple plays in here before they have to try the field goal.
Akers loosening up on the sideline. First and 10 at the 30. McNabb throws outside, incomplete. Johnson couldn't hang on. Another reminder coming up in the Visa halftime report. JB, Terry, Howie, and Chris. They'll have highlights and analysis of today's wild card games. And our Fox Sports ticker will have up to the second stats. All coming up on the Visa halftime report. 27 seconds from now.
One of these plays, he's going to have a second and third down play. One play you'd like to get some more yardage for your kicker, David Akers. Another play, I think you would take a shot to the end zone.
Here's McNabb again. He's going to take off, and then he throws. And gets the ball to Johnson, and Johnson gets it down well within field goal range.
They got to take the timeout.
17 seconds.
And I think that was the play. They had 2 ups going on the outside. I think that was the play that they were trying to take their shot on. Here's what it looks like from the pass rush. You see Donovan McNabb. I think he was looking to his outside to the right. Then he saw a lane. Now he can either run in that lane or he can run in that lane and throw the ball. And that's what he did to Charles Johnson there. Charles Johnson did a good job. Watch him there.
Yep.
He feels that strip coming. Now watch him change hands here. You see he
Brooks.
starts to put his hand there, and he knows that Brooks is coming in there, so he starts to protect the ball. It's funny that, you know, that stripping is such a big thing now that these receivers and running backs are starting to feel the strip from behind coming. They used to be unaware of it.
It's 1st and goal at the 5. And 17 seconds remaining in the first half.
See, now with no timeouts left, you really can't run the ball, and you really can't, well, on the 5-yard line, you shouldn't throw it short of the goal line anyway. You have to throw the ball into the end zone. You know, that last play, one of the things that happened is because Donovan McNabb is such a good runner, those guys that were dropped, you know, that would be in that area where Charles Johnson caught the ball, they came up to stop the run, and that's why he was able to throw it in there.
1st and goal at the 5. 17 seconds left. Here's McNabb, chase and throws in the end zone. Touchdown! Nay Brown got behind the Tampa Bay defenders. He just threw it up in the air, it looked like, and somebody came down with it. Nay Brown.
But again, he's able to get away from the rush and buy a little time, and then Nate Brown was going, and that's a place to throw. That's the safest pass you can throw is to that second pylon. Throw it to the back of the end zone where either your guy catches it or it's incomplete.
Boy, they've turned things around in a hurry. Akers' extra point is good with 12 seconds left.
Look at McNabb after the touchdown. I mean, he knows it because he bought it there, and then a big smile comes to his face.
It appeared to me that he was just throwing it away. And all of a sudden, Nate Brown appeared.
But that's not a bad place to throw it. We used to, when I was coaching, we used to have a pattern that we would just throw to that back or second pylon, and then you would come and you would go to that part. See, here's what it is, and you just see, you can't see the second pylon, but you're going to just throw it to that area. If you look here, he starts to the inside, and then he goes right back to the outside. You know, they think he's going to run a slant or a cross. They play to take the slant or the cross away, and Nate Brown ran what we used to call a slant corner.
It's a touchdown pass, whatever it's called.
McNabb's fun to watch.
Yeah, he really
is. Pretty good. He could do it. I mean, you know that he does it with his feet, and he does it with his arms, and then his arm, and then he does it with a combination, like that one earlier to Charles Johnson, of the feet and the arms.
Well, they've got 2, and he's run for 1 and thrown for 1. Akers. Dale Anthony, no place to go.
You know, the thing is it looks like Donovan McNabb out here, like I said, he's always smiling. It looks like he's come out here just to play a game. You know, he's looking, he's smiling, he's laughing, he's looking at the guys, he's winking, he's doing all those things, and somewhere in the game, I think it has to be fun, don't you?
Oh yeah. If it's not fun, I think you're in the wrong business.
I don't know if it's so much fun for Herman Edwards right now when they're down 14-3, and
they're just going to run it out.
There's a flag.
There's a flag on the play.
It can end if it's an offensive penalty. The half or game cannot end on a defensive penalty. So if this penalty is against the defense, they have to come back out.
They didn't have time to get too far.
Illegal formation, offense. Only 6 men on the line.
The half is over.
Only 10 men on the field. Penalty is declined. That's the end of the half.
That's not a very good, it wasn't a very good start, a very good middle, or a very good end for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
That's the end of the first half with the score of Philadelphia 14. Tampa Bay 3. Well, wait a minute. It's not the end of the first half yet.
But what happened is that play never happened. This is like happened in New England last week. Guys were in the locker room and they're walking back out again. I think what happened, because it was
here they come.
You got to get enough defensive guys back. All you need is 22 to come back out.
There's Derek Brooks standing in the.
He doesn't have
tunnel.
to come back out because Tampa Bay's on offense.
And they're going to do the same thing. And that's the end of the first half with the score of Philadelphia 14, Tampa Bay 3. This Fox NFL Wild Card special will continue from Philadelphia after these messages and a word from your local Fox station. This for one, and he had plans for the day before it ever started. When he was in warm-up.
We got no wind blowing here. This is the bet. It's all about just going to play football, baby. Got to enjoy it. That's what it's about.
Well, he's done just about everything he thought he might be able to do, hasn't he, John?
Well, the big thing is he's made plays. I mean, and that's the difference. Sean King didn't make plays in the first half, and Donovan McNabb did. And he made plays when he ran with the ball. He made plays when he threw the ball, and he made plays when he started to run and threw the ball.
And that's the book on McNabb in the first half.
You can look in the pocket. He's been 11 out of 12, so that's pretty good. And out, see, when he goes, when he scrambles, it's usually out to his right. And you can see that he's 4 out of 6. He didn't scramble in the middle, and he only went out to his left and threw one time. So if you're going to keep his containment, it better be to his right from your defensive left. But then he puts you in such a bind. I mean, it was like that one where he threw to Charles Johnson.
Yeah.
They were there, and they had good position. They started coming up like he was running. Then he just stopped and threw the ball to Johnson.
Don't forget about that play by Hugh Douglas. That was a big sack.
Yep, that started it all. That started the Eagles off.
Brian Mitchell, a yard deep in the end zone with Grammaticus kickoff. And Mitchell hit it about the 22.
There's Tony Dungy's son. That's Eric Dungy. He comes up, that's his job.
He's going to be warm.
Yeah, he has all the clothes on, doesn't he?
First half statistics. Buccaneers only able to convert on 1 third down out of 7 attempts. The Eagles 3 out of 7.
And that turnover, that one turnover that the Eagles got was Hugh Douglas's sack of Sean King that really got the Eagles jump started.
This is Chris Warren with the ball out to the 30. McNabb's passing chart in the first half.
You can see that the gold ones are complete. The red ones are the incomplete. The interceptions are blue. No interceptions for McNabb, but you can also see that there hasn't been a lot of deep passes. Most of the passes have been over here to the right, the shorter running. There's only been 1 pass or 2 passes that have been over 15 yards. But he's moved it around pretty well. You take the combination of that and his running has been very effective.
McNabb fires outside to Johnson. Johnson stretches for a first down, and I think with that last little stretch he got it. Ronde Barber, the cover man.
And we looked at where he threw it. Now we look at who he threw it to. 5 to 10 to his wide receivers, 2 for 2 to his tight end Chad Lewis, and 8 for 8 to his running back. So basically the running backs have caught more passes than anyone else, have been caught more passes than anyone else. Wide receivers thrown to more than anyone else, and only 2 to the tight end.
It was a first down and is a first down for the Eagles. Here's McNabb looking for someone to throw it to. Here comes the Buccaneer pursuit, and he throws it away.
One reason I think for that tight end and that middle stuff not being as much is the Buck defense isn't using as much cover 2 today.
Right.
I think that that they have their safeties. They either bring John Lynch up or they bring Robinson up to help with that McNabb run. So they haven't used as much cover 2. So then the passing hasn't been as much in that void in the middle of cover 2.
Monty Kiffin, the defensive coordinator for the Buccaneers. He enjoys the game.
Well, like I said, crusty. I think we have 2 crusty defensive coordinators in this game.
Mitchell is the lone back. He's trying to sneak out. McNabb fires to Johnson. Tripped up very near a first down.
Yeah, you know, that's the thing about McNabb. I think the key word you said there was fires. I mean, and he does fire. Here's Charles Johnson. He's in the slot. You see, and he makes that out move there off Rondé Barber, and that ball was just zipped right in there.
It's third down, about a yard.
Look at this. The Eagles have run 9 times, past 25, and that's because they don't have many running backs.
McNabb fakes, drops it outside to one of the running backs. That's Mitchell. Cecil Martin, I beg your pardon, with a one-handed catch.
That was one of the things the Eagles originally liked about Cecil Martin is he was a fullback, as I said, at Wisconsin for Ron Dane. Blocked for Ron Dane. And then they were surprised when they got him here. They knew he'd be a blocker because that's what he did in college at Wisconsin. But he was also a good pass receiver.
As he showed you just then with that one-handed grab. 1st and 10 Eagles. Just shy of midfield. Chris Warren. Let's go down quickly to DJ Johnson.
Hey, Pat and John, simple game plan from Andy Reid in the second half. He said they want to do exactly what they did in the first half, and that is play good, solid defense and move the ball like they did in the second quarter. As for the Buccaneers, Tony Dungy said they have to get pressure on Donovan McNabb. And on offense, he said they ran the ball fairly well, but they had a very costly penalty, a very costly turnover, excuse me. He said they will get a heavy, heavy dose of Mike Allstott in the second half, so really expect that. Pound the ball up, run the ball straight up the field. Back up to you, Pat.
2nd and 8. Thanks, DJ. McNabb outside to Chris Warren. And Warren gets to the Buccaneer 45.
You know, and somewhere in addition to Tony Dungy has to say Sean King has to make some plays.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know, you can't give a heavy dose of Mike Allstott when you're not getting anything going. I mean,
when you're down by 11 points.
No, I mean, you have to be able to throw some forward passes to your wide receivers.
14-3, the Eagles lead with 11:20 left in the third quarter. 3rd down and 4. There's McNabb again, back to throw and gets it across the middle of Johnson. And he stretched enough to get a first down, I believe. Donnie Abraham took him down.
Now you kind of feel that Donovan McNabb has something going today with Charles Johnson. I know that in the offseason they worked out in Arizona, but it just seems like today, anytime he needs something or he gets in a little trouble or runs and has to get rid of the ball, it looks like he's looking for Charles Johnson.
The last part of the year, Johnson has really started to play well, along with Chad Lewis, the tight end.
I remember Johnson had a knee injury a year ago and had to rehab that thing and get back to where he was. He was a great receiver at Colorado, and then he was a good player for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
They'll measure for the first down. It appeared that he got it.
Mike Carey, the referee, California guy, is from Santa Clara. He didn't get it.
About 6 inches short.
Now what's Andy Reid going to do here?
I think he's going to go for it.
This is a very good position to go for it. You're going to see Donnie Abraham come in here and make a pretty good tackle. Seeing Charles Johnson, instead of reaching the ball out, see the ball comes back. So it's where the ball is when you go down. And that type of tackle, instead of reaching out, brought the ball back. I would think that there's going to be a quarterback sneak here, and I knew we'd see that. I was going to say, every year we've come here and it's been cold as that, we've always seen some guys with their shirts off.
And 2 days from now, they'll be in the hospital.
I think they're poster guys for that deal that you get cold by virus, not by getting cold. This has to be a quarterback sneak.
I would think so with McNabb. He got the first down.
You know, when I asked McNabb yesterday how much he weighed, he said 235 pounds. You notice those guys, no one sits near them?
No.
You notice anyone with his shirt off? They just kind of sit together. But like I said, they're poster guys for that deal that you don't catch a cold by getting cold. You catch a cold by getting a virus. So you have more chance catching a cold shaking hands than you do with not wearing a shirt at the Eagles game.
Who told you that?
I read that.
Here's McNabb. He shucked one tackler. Got it to Small and made the completion. Short again.
Yeah, Warren Sapp, you see, he almost had him. And here he is. I mean, he's getting the pass rush there. He gets the arm over. And he grabbed him a little by the helmet, then a little jersey. But McNabb, you know, I was saying how big he is, and he shrugs things off. I mean, he's so big and strong. He weighs 235 pounds, and a lot of quarterbacks, that slap by Sapp would just knock him down.
2nd and 2. Again. This time it's to Todd Pinkston. Ryan Kelly made the stop.
One thing you have to like about McNabb is they've gotten pressure on him. I mean, you can see where they've come. From this hole, they hurried him once. From this hole, 3 times. Here, up the middle, you can see that's where they're trying to get pressure. But they haven't rattled him. I mean, he's just hung in there and thrown the ball or hung in there and run with it. And the Bucs have really tried to pressure him.
And they've taken a lot of time off the clock in doing so. That's Chris Warren. Across the 20 to about the 19.
I tell you, this group is a group that loves it because they can sit there. See, Hugh Douglas, he's sitting there yelling and laughing and stuff. Why? Because they get to rest. If they can keep their offense on the field, that's keeping the Buck offense off the field, and it's keeping this defense fresh.
And this drive has taken almost 7 minutes off the clock. And the Bucs need the ball.
They're just continuing where they left off in the first half.
And that effort by Douglas is what changed it all. Chris Warren still fighting.
The thing is this Philadelphia Eagle offensive line has really done a job on the defensive line of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And when you look at these games, you would say that the Bucs have the advantage there, that the Bucs defensive line would be better than the Eagles offensive line. But this group of offensive linemen of the Eagles have been winning the battle today.
And they've been together all year long, and that's very important.
And they're led by 2 tackles. There's John Runyon there, one of the big ones. They're both 6'7". Runyon 6'7", 330. Trey Thomas
6'7",
349.
349. Why not 350?
Yeah.
Back at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, the Eagles 14-3 over the Buccaneers, and they've had the ball the whole quarter so far. McNabb incomplete.
Yeah, we were
Lewis.
talking about the block, and watch Jermaine Mayberry. He's number 71 right there, blocked Derek Brooks, and they've done a good job of keeping Brooks out of there. You see how they just push him out of there, knock him out of there, and then Warren runs right by. Those big 3 of the Bucs have been kind of quiet. I mean,
yes,
you start with Sapp, then you go to Derek Brooks, then you go to John Lynch, and you haven't heard those 3 names a lot.
Akers from 36 yards out. And it's no good. Akers doesn't miss many, 4 all year. But that one's no good. 14-3. Tampa Bay has the ball at their own 27, trailing Philadelphia 14-3. Sean King drops back in the shotgun. And throws outside, complete. That's Alstott. And Alstott gets about 6. You think the wind doesn't have an effect on the kicker's efforts?
This was in the pregame warm-up, going the same way that Akers just missed that one.
Yep.
I mean, he just didn't have trouble in the game. He was having that same problem in the pregame warm-up, going that way.
Hitting the ball hard and well, but sometimes the wind does tricks. 2nd and 3. Here's King outside to Patrick Haight. Stopped by Damon Moore.
We talked about, in the second half, Sean King has to make some plays, and you can see that he's only gone deep one time, and his completions have all been underneath that 15-yard line, and I think that he has to stretch his defense a little. I mean, somewhere, even if he does some of those 10, 12, 15-yard plays, I think he has to get into that area. It can't just all be checkdowns and dump-offs.
I think he only tried once. That's Warrick Dunn taken down from behind by Hugh Douglas.
And that's again what they're doing is just the run blitz. We talked about Jim Johnson, the defensive coordinator, and how aggressive he is. And he's not only calling blitzes against the pass, but also against the run. And that one was a perfect defense. Look at their pass distribution. Only 4 times to the wide receivers, 3 to the tight ends, 7 to the running backs.
2nd and 12, shotgun formation. Passing down, Alstott in the slot again. King in the pocket, comes out of the pocket. Flag on the play. King is just going to run out of bounds. Almost lost the ball before he went out.
Good coverage over there by Troy Vincent. He was trying to throw to Keyshawn Johnson over on the right, and Troy Vincent was covering him.
A flag on the play thrown before Sean King went out of bounds. Against the Buccaneers.
But Troy Vincent's doing a good job out there, and that's where he was trying to throw.
Illegal formation. Offense. Number 71, an ineligible receiver, was lined up in an eligible position. Penalty is declined. They're down.
Here's what we're talking about. Here's Keyshawn Johnson, and you see Troy Vincent there. That's where he was trying to throw. And Troy Vincent was just all over him. I mean, there was nothing there, and that's why Sean King had to put the ball down.
3rd and 13.
I think the other penalty was on Keyshawn, too, for not lining up on the line of scrimmage.
Douglas, look out. Hugh Douglas slings King down, and he went right around George Hageman.
Yeah, he's done that a couple times. I mean, if you're going to get a pass rush, it's Hugh Douglas, and he is fired up today. You see, he just has too much speed for George Hageman. He just gets around him that time. Remember earlier when he did that caused a fumble by Sean King. Here he just uses that speed and then turns right back. He's a heck of a player. He's gained 15 pounds this year. Plays the run a little better.
Royals punt. Out of bounds. There's Hugh Douglas, who just got the sack that forced the punt. The Buccaneers have never won in the cold weather when it's 39 or less. They're 0-19. That's what that sign was for 0-20. Talking about today. That's Chris Warren. Got a couple.
I went to the Eagles practice on Friday, and I've never seen a better pace for a practice than these guys have. And so much of that is Andy Reid. I mean, I think that quietly he's come in here and he's really built a program in 2 years. And and the 49ers used to practice quicker than anyone else when Bill Walsh was there, and then Mike Shanahan had that, Mike Holmgren had that, and right now, of all the teams that I've seen, this Eagle team practices at a better pace than anyone I've seen in this league.
McNabb quickly over the middle. Pass caught by Chad Lewis. Not much there. You know what? When we were at practice yesterday, I noticed the Eagles, they seem to be having a good time as well as fast paced.
Well, you know, we were talking to Troy Vincent about that, and you know, I said, what's the difference in the Eagles now? I mean, what's brought about this resurgence? And he said two things. One, Donovan McNabb, so we got him, and then, you know, he's special, and the other one is Andy Reid.
Andy Reid.
So Andy Reid came in here and gave us a program, gave us discipline, gave us organization, but lets us be our own personality.
3rd and 1. McNabb back to throw it. Now he's coming out of the pocket. Now he fakes and he's taken off. When he takes off, sometimes he fakes with the ball, but as Warren Sapp said yesterday, he's not going to throw it. He's going to run it.
Well, especially when he gets beyond the line of scrimmage, he can, but all quarterbacks do that, and all defenders still go for it.
Still bite.
I mean, they'll still bite for it, because as Sapp said, once he gets out here like this, he's going to run with it. Of course, you know he's going to run with it, but the thing is, he runs fast with it. That's the big thing with McNabb.
And he's big.
He's 4'5".
Here's McNabb back to throw, lofting it deep for Johnson. Flag on the play. It's going to be pass interference.
That's against Donnie Abraham.
Against Abraham, right?
Donnie Abraham's having a tough day. Missing tackles, getting a penalty called on him here. Here he's pushing. I think he's okay. And then he put the right arm. He put the right arm in like an arm bar, and they don't let him do that. Then he got the other hand in too, so he had a double dip there. So that's Warren Sapp out here. John Welborn blocking him pretty well. Oops. Welborn gave him the old knee.
In the back.
Huh?
After he got him down, yes.
Warren Sapp only has 1 tackle. Derek Brooks has 7. John Lynch has 2. John Welborn's a tough guy. He's a tough guy. He and John Runyon.
Chris Warren down to about the 10 as the Eagles try to put it away.
Sapp's not going to like when he sees where Welborn hit to him. I mean, blocked him out, then pushed him down, and then gave him the old knee in the back.
Warren limps back toward the Eagle bench, replaced by Brian Mitchell.
You know who brought all that toughness to that Eagle offensive line is John Runyon.
John Runyon. He affects everybody.
Yeah, they got him from Tennessee, and you know, usually offensive linemen are a little more passive. John Runyon is very, very aggressive.
Mitchell straight ahead. Close to the 10, close to a first.
We talk about all these things, and it's controlling that line of scrimmage. I mean, you need the Donovan McNabbs, but you need the John Welborns, you need the John Runyons, you need Trey Thomas, you need Mayberry, you need those guys too to control that line of scrimmage. And you just get the feeling around the end of the second quarter that offensive line started to take over the game.
Don't forget the center, Bubba Miller. He doesn't get much notoriety.
Yeah, he gets to touch the ball every play. The other guys don't even get to touch the ball.
That's true. Here's the handoff to Chris Warren, who gets it 1st and goal at the 5.
This was 2 plays ago. And again, you see the good vision that Mitchell has there until he meets John Lynch. You know, the first thing you're looking is the first layer is a defensive line. The second layer is a linebacker, and the third layer is a secondary. And when the secondary sneaks up into that first layer, like John Lynch does, sometimes you don't see him.
It's 1st and goal at the 6. Warren, the ball carrier, barely got it back to where it began. This Buccaneer defense has been on the field an awful lot.
The Eagles have added 12 minutes, 17 seconds to 2:43 for the Bucs.
And that's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score Philadelphia 14, Tampa Bay 3. This Fox NFL Wild Card Special from Philadelphia will continue after a word from your local Fox station. There's a player down. It shows 6 seconds.
And the teams have started to go from one end of the field to the other. I don't know what the officials called, though, because the teams have switched ends of the field. The player down was Chad Lewis. The Eagles tight end.
And now what are they going to do with the clock still showing 6 seconds?
Well, there's an injury timeout, and that stopped the clock. On the left-hand side of your screen, you're going to see him come in there and get hit right now by his own guy. So now the ball is still down there at the 7-yard line. All the players are up here at the other 7-yard line. The key is a referee. Oops, we just moved him, but he was down at that end, and he's going to say something now.
Well, they're going to run out the rest of the clock, I guess. Well, I'll read that card again. That's the end of the third quarter with the score: Philadelphia 14, Tampa Bay 3. This Fox NFL Wild Card Special from Philadelphia will continue after a word from your local Fox station. Pat Summerall, John Madden at Veterans Stadium, where the Eagles lead Tampa Bay 14-3, and they're closing in on another touchdown. Brian Mitchell. The Tampa Bay defense may have something to say about that. And they might have been offside as well as McNabb throws in the corner. Incomplete. A flag on the play.
I think there was a flag initially, and then there was another flag thrown in the end zone.
Offside. Defense. Number 83.
There might be more to this.
Half the distance to the goal. Still second down.
No, there isn't more to this.
Again, this is an all-star officiating crew. If there was offside, it's right here.
Yep.
That's who it was. It was Rondé Barber. And again, we talked about Rondé Barber being a corner, but one of their top blitzers. They probably blitz Rondé Barber, their corner, as much as they blitz their linebackers or safeties.
Half the distance to the goal line. Moves it down to the 6, and it's to the 3, and it's still second down.
You think when they get down in this area, they could run a bootleg to McNabb anytime they wanted to for a touchdown.
Well, they just might. They give it to Warren, and Warren stopped at the 2.
That's something. Chris Warren just a couple of weeks ago was with the Dallas Cowboys, and Andy Reid needed a running back. He was.
Well, he's been needing a running back for a long time.
Since Deuce Staley, but then he had Darnell Autry, and then Autry got hurt. Anyway, the Cowboys cut Chris Warren. He was waived. The Eagles picked him up.
Now you might expect McNabb. Warren's the deep back. And McNabb, touchdown. Jeff Thomason.
All he does is score touchdowns. Jeff Thomason has caught like 11 passes, and 6 of them are for touchdowns. There's Jeff Lurie, the owner.
Fireworks.
At New Year's Eve in Philadelphia, and the Eagles playing like this.
And Lurie looks happy. Akers for the extra point. 1 more quarter to go, and the Eagles lead 21-3.
And he does fire this. That's a play pass. You fake the run, and poof, does he drill that thing in there to Thomason.
The Eagles lead Tampa Bay 21-3. With just over 14 minutes left to play. Jacquez Green and Carl Williams back deep. Akers Chases him into the end zone. Williams comes out. Maybe he shouldn't have. That was Jacquez Green. I beg your pardon. 21-3. Eagles. A dejected Buccaneer bench as they trail the Eagles 21-3 with 14:03 left to go. They've got to make something happen pretty soon.
And there's getting more and more guys with their shirts off as this game goes on and this Philadelphia lead goes up.
King operating against the wind. Incomplete. Behind the intended target, Keyshawn Johnson.
This is a good crowd. You know, they always talk about the cold and, you know, how the players play. At least the players have benches and warm things down there, and they're out there and they're running around. The fans just have to sit there and take it.
And I always enjoy taking it.
Right, and every time I see one of these cold weather games, I always marvel more at the fans than I do the players.
You wonder how long they waited for tickets. Outside to Warrick Dunn, and down he's taken by Bobby Taylor. Not much doing. Not much happening on the Buck offensive side of the ball.
You know, they could use Bobby Taylor. We talked about him with Troy Vincent on the other side. Then they bring in their third, Al Harris, who at one time played for the Buccaneers, and as you know, Jim Johnson says, could start anywhere, and he considers him a starter. And that because he has so many good cover guys, that allows him to do all this blitzing that he's been doing today.
You hear so much about the Buck defense, but today it's been the Eagle defense. King. Pass is caught, but no first down. Warrick Dunn. Mike Caldwell out to make the stop, and the Bucs will have to punt.
At some point, you have to throw the ball up the field. You just can't keep throwing short, throwing short, throwing short. Andy Reid was out on Monday and Tuesday of this week talking to the fans and telling them he really wanted them into this game. I think he got his message across because these fans are into this game.
Mitchell back deep for the Eagles.
There was a shot earlier in the week. Andy Reid was out there like at 8 o'clock in the morning, high-fiving the fans.
Royals punt. Mitchell signals fair catch and makes it. He was touched. There's Andy Reid doing just what you were talking about.
Those are kind of limp high fives, but I like the fact that he's out there.
Saturday here in Philadelphia, 9 inches of snow. Today it's beautiful. If you're on the Eagles side of the field, I'm sure. The Eagles with a commanding 21-3 lead, trying to add to it. Donovan McNabb takes off. Is lassoed after about a yard.
Well, he's not getting the big pass rush he was getting earlier, and it's going to be tougher to run because did you notice how many of those defensive linemen and linebackers were along the line of scrimmage? That's one of the things when you calm them down, then they don't get up the field like they used to. Then when they don't get up the field like they used to, you don't get the lanes like you used to.
They're rushing smart, but not by choice.
No, they're rushing slow now. They're getting close to having been whipped.
2nd and 8. Here's McNabb out of the pocket and over the head of the intended receiver Thomason. Spend New Year's Eve with Fox tonight in between The Simpsons and The X-Files. Catch the Showtime magazine ranks as the best comedy of the year. It's Malcolm in the Middle tonight at 8:30, 7:30 Central on Fox.
There's Monica Mitchell right there.
3rd and 8. McNabb. The Bucs come up with the ball. Donnie Abraham, who'd had a tough afternoon, partially at least redeems himself.
Well, that's one of the things that, you know, we talked earlier that the Bucs do so well is they get takeaways. And you see right there, he just was a slant. He was back off and he just jumped it.
So the Bucs get a break. Back at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, 21-3. Les Steckel.
I'm just thinking that, you know, I was just thinking that they ought to go some no huddle, you know, to pick up the pace, and they had success with it last week against Green Bay, and we can see that they're going to it now. You know, they have to pick up the pace, and they have to change momentum, and this is a way to do it.
Three-man line for the Eagles. McNabb, I beg your pardon, Sean King to Keyshawn Johnson, a flag on the play. As Keyshawn went out of bounds.
You know, and they're doing a couple things back to back that they had to. You know, turnovers on defense, change the pace.
Offense, number 81, 10 yards, remains second down.
Called against Jacquizz Green.
Yeah, Jacquizz Green, it has to be a pick. You see, Keyshawn Johnson catches the ball. They call it against Jacquizz Green right there. See, he comes in there and he picks Bobby Taylor. Bobby Taylor knows. Look at Bobby Taylor going back there and saying he was picked. There are legal ways to pick and illegal ways. You know, you can run your pattern at that guy, make him go around you, but you can't run into him.
And now they're marking off the penalty as the Bucs come out of the huddle. 2nd and 11. Here comes the blitz. King gets rid of it. Liddell Anthony was down, got back up.
And they said he was down. They're not going to let the backup go. Here's the Eagle defense. You can see they're using a three-man line, but then they're bringing the blitz. They're bringing the safeties. They're bringing the outside linebackers. Again, that's the thing. Anytime Sean King is passing, they want to put pressure or blitz on him.
3rd and 4. Stretch by Anthony is not quite enough.
Someone just ran right over George Hegeman. I mean, you can see George Hegeman. Watch him right here. I mean, Hugh Douglas just knocks him right on his back.
Yeah.
You know, that's where, you know, George Hegeman weighs about 100 pounds more than Hugh Douglas. That's all about leverage.
4th, and they're going for it. 4th and 4.
They're going to go for a timeout.
And now they take a timeout. Yeah.
You know, you talk about Donald McNabb, so great, so is Hugh Douglas.
Yes, sir. Been a pretty impressive day. Tony Dungy, Buccaneer head coach, 4th and 4, and they're going for it. Sean King operating out of the shotgun formation. Throws incomplete. The Eagles will take over. Intended for Keyshawn Johnson, covered by Vincent.
And we've talked about that all day, how one of the things that the Eagles do so well is they cover so well, and then again, because they cover so well, and here we see Troy Vincent right here. You see, he jumps on that slant and just gets that right hand in there. Keyshawn Johnson wants the penalty flag, but I think Troy Vincent got in there free.
Well, they're one of the very few teams that have 2 and really 3 good cornerbacks.
When they get Al Harris in there, and not only good, but they're big. Yep. So they're not going to get outmatched in any way.
Chris Warren stays on his feet. Here's a guy who's had a big day, Hugh Douglas.
Well, we look, he's had 5 tackles and 2 sacks, but he's from that right side. He's given them everything they want. This is the thing that got him started. That play right there where they got the fumble, and then the Eagles went and scored after that. And here he's just all over Sean King. Watch this. This is just amazing strength there, what he does to George Hagan. Hugh Douglas, a very, very powerful guy that has a great motor. I mean, he goes full speed all the time, anywhere.
2nd and 4. McNabb against the Warren. Wrapped up just shy of midfield and about 2 yards short of a first down.
You know what I like about Hugh Douglas? I saw his locker. He keeps candy in his locker. He's a big candy guy.
That's how he gained the 15 pounds.
Well, and it's all below his waist, too. But anyway, anyone can come to his locker and take candy as long as they put the bowls and stuff. He has a big pumpkin that's full of candy. They can take the candy out of there, but they have to put it back. He said one time they didn't put it back, so he just threw all the candy away. And then he said sometimes you just have to teach him a lesson. He said sometimes you have to kill a fly with a sledgehammer. But now he said they're being good, so he has all his candy back in his locker.
Here is Warren trying for the first down, and he has it. And Chris Warren crosses the 40 in Buccaneer territory and surges for another Eagle first down.
They got him going now.
Yep.
I mean, they do. That's the old thing. Remember that old 49er philosophy is they wouldn't run, and they wouldn't run till the end. You get them worn down, then it gets to a point where it's easy to run. And the guy that wore him down was Donovan McNabb early in the game, and now this isn't the Tampa Bay defense. There's Charles Johnson,
the injured Eagle.
See, he's out there blocking, and you see Chris Warren rolls right up on his left knee. Whew.
Nay Brown takes his place.
That's right there.
Yep.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Yep. He's been playing so well.
And you know, and that's the thing, you always want your wide receivers to get out to block, you know, to do those kinds of things, and that happens. Look at Andy Reid. He's acting like he's looking at his card, but he's awfully concerned about Charles Johnson too.
He's walking better than he was after he checked it. But Andy Reid, as you said, concerned. The crowd started to chant, "We want New York."
Well,
they're going to get him next week.
If they continue, they'll get New York.
They lost to him twice, so maybe they don't want New York so badly.
Well, I think they do. I think sometimes you lose to them twice, and that's when you do want them. You got to get that thing going back the other way.
Here's Warren, and he crosses the 35 down to about the 33. Much of that done on his own, but the resistance is not there like it was.
Well, you know what happens, you can just see, as you say, the resistance isn't there. I mean, the guys aren't getting off. I mean, they're just catching blocks now. See how they're just all standing there and catching? Look at these holes. And when that happens and you get them worn down like this, then they start missing tackles. Like I said a little while ago, this isn't Buccaneer defense.
Right.
I mean, this defense has been beaten down that they're not themselves anymore.
Well, they've been out there most of the game. Here's Warren again. Upended shy of the 30. It'll bring up a third down.
Their offense hasn't done anything at all to help them. You can see there they're checking Charles Johnson's left knee. A lot of times, you say, well, why are they down there at the ankle? Well, maybe he hurt his ankle too.
Maybe so.
But a lot of times they will check that. They will twist it there to check the knee. But sometimes you get hurt on a play like that, you don't know what it is.
That's right.
You think it's your knee, and then you find out, heck, it was your ankle.
Especially when it's cold like this.
Look at the Buccaneers. They've missed 17 tackles today, and that's very, very unlike this defense.
3rd and 2.
Like I said, their offense didn't help them at all.
Warren is hit behind the line of scrimmage by Jamie Duncan first. And they won't get the first down.
Yeah, there has to be something to that cold weather thing.
Yep.
I mean, if the Buccaneers lose today, it'll be 20 times.
When the temperature is 39 or under.
And look at this. We're talking about where the offense has to help the defense. I mean, their offense time of possession has only been 5 minutes and 40 seconds. I mean, that's putrid.
This half. Well, they started off with that guy running pretty well, Alstott.
Well, they did when they had that that bad field position, and there was no score yet. I mean, that was before the score, and then that stuff works as long as you're ahead or it's close. But then when McNabb takes over and you start getting some points, then that stuff doesn't work.
That's right. Donovan McNabb over visiting with Andy Reid. Warwick Dunn on the other side, and
yeah, but he didn't do much today. I mean, he just had a couple yards running, and caught a few passes, but he
Not
was
much.
the only, if they were going to have any explosion today, they expected that a big part of it would come from him.
Here comes the punting team.
Well, Andy Reid
Landeta.
is thinking that his defense is playing so well today, and Tampa Bay's offense is not, that why give him any life at all?
Carl Williams stands back deep. Landeta right at midfield will try to kick this one, I'm sure, out of bounds or push it straight up. Good snap. Everything going right. And the ball rolls dead at the 5.
Sean Landeta's had a big day today,
he
too,
has.
hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
The whole punter.
21-3. The Eagles lead. Back at Veterans Stadium, where the crowd is getting more and more vocal
And the
and
current
happier and happier.
temperature's the same as the score.
Yep.
And there's more and more guys taking their shirts off.
King throws outside to Keyshawn Johnson. And that's not going to help the cause much.
Well, none of the passes that Sean King has thrown have helped the cause much. They've all been the short variety. They're trying to, again, go with no huddle to change the pace.
Second and 7. The Eagles bring the pressure. King throws upfield, incomplete to his tight end, Dave Moore. There's Charles Johnson, who has an ankle sprain. That's encouraging. It's not the knee. He will not come back today, but
Well, he's putting his helmet on.
well,
for
he looks like
something.
he is.
I don't know if he's not coming back today. No one's told him, but I think those three things are good news. One, that it's his ankle, not his knee. Two, that he's walking around like he is.
And
three, they just put his hat on.
He wants to come back. Third down and 7.
Well, everyone take their shirts
Yeah,
off.
why
New
not?
Year's Eve.
Go ahead.
Everyone.
Here's King in the end zone. Scrambles around and lets it go deep to Keyshawn, who comes down with it and makes the catch. Kept the feet in bounds.
And then you're going to say, why didn't you do that all day?
Yeah.
Why do you have to wait until the end like this to do it?
Well, remember how much time he has.
Yeah, I mean, these are types of things that I think that you can do. I mean, not all day, but Keyshawn Johnson is the type of guy that he can have coverage and you can still throw it up to him and he can still catch the ball.
There are a few receivers around who can do that.
Yeah, Randy Moss is one. Randy Moss has more speed than Keyshawn Johnson.
King throws incomplete. Vincent, the nearest person to it.
Yeah, Sean King, not the most accurate of passers today. At some point, this has to be addressed. I mean, all these things with the Bucs, if they lose, the weather, their offense not helping their defense, not being able to get first downs. I mean, they're a pretty good team that's right on the border, but they have to do something about those things.
They've been on the border for about 3 years now.
And it's the same type of thing. I mean, they don't get anything done.
Start. Offense.
And they brought in Keyshawn.
5 yards. Remain second down.
Right, and that didn't do it. They got rid of Mike Shula. They blamed Mike Shula, the offensive coordinator, for it, and that didn't change things. So that's Les Steckel. What the heck is that?
He's suffering for some reason.
That's what
I guess
happens.
the score.
Yeah, well, that offense, that Tampa Bay offense, he's in charge of that offense, and someone just told him what the production was.
King trying to throw a screen. Does to Warwick Dunn, and he almost lost his head, and here's the flag down.
I don't know, did Bobby Taylor even hit him? He looked like from here like he missed him. Warwick Dunn is going to fight him now.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah, he told us that yesterday. He said, I'm a fighter.
He said, I'll fight you.
It looked like when Bobby Taylor ran by, it looked like from here that he threw an elbow at him.
Yeah.
But I thought from here again, I thought he missed him. Obviously, there's a flag. He didn't miss him, and the way Warrick Dunn is reacting, he didn't miss him. Mike Carey just told us.
Now they're motioning in the other direction. The Eagles are.
Offense, number 73, 15 yards, remains second down.
So anyway, what Bobby Taylor did, that wasn't the foul.
Yep.
This is what I saw right here. So he missed the ball, and I saw Bobby Taylor. I didn't think Bobby Taylor hit him.
He didn't throw an elbow at him. He got him with his shoulder.
He looked like he was going to, and then he ran right by him. Then that's what they call. That's a clip right there on Emmons. So that thing with Warrick Dunn and Bobby Taylor wasn't the penalty.
And they back it up. Second down and 30.
That's a tough one. That'll make an offensive coordinator rub his head.
Here's Sean King. Can't find any place to go. Throws it finally up the middle. Keyshawn Johnson comes down with it. Not enough for first down, but picked up a few yards.
And that's going to bring up third down. That's the, it's probably too much too late. But I mean, the thing about Keyshawn Johnson is a wide receiver that you always talk about the tight end being the big target in the middle. He can be a wide receiver, but coming across that middle could be a big target.
And he'll catch it, and he doesn't mind coming in the middle. King. Pass is caught by Keyshawn. In the middle. Flag on the play.
And it's right back there at the area that Sean King threw the ball.
Roughing the passer, I would think.
And that's usually when they throw it right at the quarterback. I think it was Hugh Douglas.
The late hit.
Yeah, he hit Sean King after he threw the ball.
Personal foul, roughing the passer, number 20 of the defense. A blow to the head, 15 yards, automatic first down.
That was Dawkins, number 20. See, here's Hugh Douglas right here. It was Dawkins that came in and hit him right.
Douglas went around him.
Douglas did the right thing.
It's a first down, Buccaneers at the 16. 17 make it. Try to get some points on the board.
Get some points and then get an onside kick.
Yep. They need a lot of things to happen in a hurry. Here's King, and down he goes. Mike Caldwell in to make the stop. The sack.
And again, Jim Johnson doing the same types of things. I mean, he was going to go after and bring linebackers and safeties after Sean King, and he's been doing it all day.
Second and 17. King drops it underneath to Dunn. Trotter right there to bring him down. Not much.
You know, the two starting wide receivers for Tampa Bay, Keyshawn Johnson, of course, and Jacquez Green. Jacquez Green hasn't caught a ball today.
They're out there together with Anthony on this side. Pass is incomplete. Intended for Keyshawn.
That's the matchup we talked about, Bobby Taylor. Remember all those years when it used to be Bobby Taylor when he'd play against the Dallas Cowboys and he had all those big matchups with Michael Irvin? The same type of thing. I mean, he loves those kinds of things where he can go against the guy. I'm sure Bobby Taylor loves playing against Keyshawn Johnson today.
Yeah, he seems to like big receivers like Irvin was, like Keyshawn is.
Oops.
Here's Sean King, and the pass is almost intercepted.
They brought both safeties from way back. They brought him from about 15 yards deep. and they timed that thing, and you could see them both running, and you wondered if they were going to get there before or after. What you're going to see the safeties, they're coming from here, and they both start running. You see, and they both hit that thing just about when the ball was snapped. They started deeper than that, and they just kept running.
Sean King trudges off the field. The Eagles offensive unit is on, and King is off.
Well, the one good thing about kicking a field goal, had they planned a field goal, at least they could have gone for an onside kick. See, but when you go for it on fourth and you don't get it, then you lose the opportunity of the onside kick.
0 for 20 when the temperature is 39 or below. 1st and 10. And here's Chris Warren straight ahead. Fox tonight. Don't miss Billboard's Rock and Roll New Year's Eve with Ricky Martin, Faith Hill, NSYNC, and more, plus the year's top 10 videos. And go live to Times Square. That's Billboard's Rock and Roll New Year's Eve tonight at 11 here on Fox.
We'll be there tonight, won't we? In New York, the bus is leaving right after the game.
Yeah,
Go up there. You're going to go?
We'll be rocking and rolling at 11.
You want me to dump you off at Times Square? So
No, I don't
rock and
think
roll
you.
there?
No.
I think they dropped the ball there, too.
Yeah, they do. But they'll be crowded. Chris Warren, the ball carrier. Yeah, they're just content to enjoy the atmosphere. Today's game being produced by Bob Stinner, directed by Sandy Grossman, the associate directors Mike Roig, broadcast associates are Charles McDonald and Wayne Wilson, the technical producers Bob Mueller. Pre-game show was produced by Scott Ackerson, directed by Bob Levy. The associate directors Jennifer Love, the senior producers Bill Brown, the executive producers of Fox Sports are Ed Gorin and David Hill.
Yeah, I think we should give kudos to our whole crew. That it was tough here yesterday. It snowed all day, and those guys had to work to set this up. They worked through the night, and to not only those mentioned, but to all the camera people, all the technicians, everyone, the job that they did to get this going here today.
Chris Warren hammered for a first down. 2 minutes left to play as the Eagles will advance. They lead 21-3. Too cold for Tampa. Been cold in Florida, but not this cold.
I think it was too much Philadelphia Eagle offense for Tampa today.
Chris Warren, the ball carrier, hit at the line of scrimmage and knocked backward.
Chris Warren's gained about 80 yards in this game. Last week, he fumbled a couple times, and they're worried about that. But this is a good game for Andy Reid to have Chris Warren run a little for him. He's done a heck of a job.
Yeah, he really has. And what a nice guy.
He's a good guy. He's the type of guy that, if you weren't doing what you were doing and he wasn't doing what he was doing, he'd be everyone's best friend. They're the guys you just have two couches. You sit on one and he sits in the other, and you talk.
Here's Warren again. Bangs it straight ahead. Stopped again with not much gain.
This is something, though, if the Eagles win here, when the Eagles win here today, all the home
teams.
But that's the thing, they earned the right to be at home, and that's the way they should be.
And the crowd, with a minute to go, really comes to life again.
And this is great. I mean, playoff football is great, and then winning playoff football is what it's all about. But you have to remember, 12 teams get into playoffs, and only one is not going to lose their last game they play this year.
There's only been one playoff game between New York and Philadelphia. There'll be two after next week. That was an 81 in the wild card when the Giants won. But that's not going to dampen what happens here today and what's happened here today.
I'll tell you, that offensive line did their job today.
Did they, though?
They took control. They handled that line of scrimmage, and
Big John Runyon.
They won that battle.
Jeff Lurie, the owner of the Eagles.
has so many heroes down there today, he doesn't know who to go to first.
The Eagles advance. As they dominated Tampa Bay and win it by the score of 21-3. The first quarter was pretty even, but after that, we'll be back here at Veterans Stadium. DJ down on the sideline, scuffling to get an interview, but we'll be back here at Veterans Stadium. Philadelphia 21-3, the victor.
LJ Direct upgrade?
Upgrade?
Where's your computer, please?
That's over there.
Oh, I don't believe this. What? Well, look what she's using to clean that window. Windex. Ain't that what they're supposed to use? Well, yeah, if you want a clean window. Ah, look at him, huh? He's got that other stuff nice and streaky. Oh, come on. Windex even cleans what the other stuff leaves behind. So, a bird could get hurt flying into a window like that? Come on, where we going? There's a new car on Elm Street.
The difference is clear. For a streak-free shine every time, Windex is best on glass. S.C. Johnson, a family company.
For sinus sufferers, it can start with a twinge or perhaps a slight pressure. For everyone, there's a signal. Your sinuses are gonna be trouble. Don't let it happen. Take Sudafed at the first sign. Untreated sinus pressure can escalate to pain. But now, taking Sudafed at the first sign releases pressure, so symptoms don't get worse.